have everybody here that's coming. Madam Clerk, would you start us by reading the roll, please?
Yes, Ms. Cole, Mr. Getty, Mr. Jones, Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Mr. Welper,
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here, motion to approve the agenda. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're here today to hear our quarterly update from the Greater Cedar Valley Alliance. Steve and his crew are here. And just an FYI, Greenwood is in Washington, and he won't be here, and Carolyn had work and couldn't get here. Carolyn, so
Fair enough.
This is what we
appreciate
got.
the time. Thank you
bet.
very much. My role is to thank you for the opportunity, as always, to tell you what this part of your economic development team is doing on behalf of the City of Waterloo and the Cedar Valley region. This evening, we have several members of our economic development team with us, including Britt Young, Lisa Skubel, Carrie Dara, and we also have one of our volunteer leaders with us who is pretty familiar to all of you, Tim Hurley, in his role as chair of the TechWorks Board of Directors this evening. So lots to talk about. With that, I'm going to introduce Lisa Skubel to talk about external marketing.
Thank you, Steve.
Good afternoon, Mayor and
Hey, Lisa.
Council. How are you today? To date, this year, the Greater Cedar Valley Alliance for Opportunities Delivered, we looked at what we were going to accomplish over the next 5 years. And we're going to accomplish 100 opportunities, both existing and external marketing. And what that averaged out to is about 20 a year. Right now, organizationally, and our fiscal year started July 1, we are at 22. And of those 22 opportunities, 17 of those either are existing businesses in Waterloo or companies that would consider or are considering Waterloo for a potential new location. And that is July 1st through August, or April 30th. And you look at that number, that means of those 22, approximately 77% of those 22 are looking at actively at Waterloo. The average capital investment of those projects are a little bit over $5 million, $5.6 million. Our goal organizationally is to have each of those leads be on average of $5 million. Of those jobs, 265 positions meet our organizational goal of $19 an hour. That is of a total of 504 jobs that these expansions or new locations would create. And some of that we've already seen so far. At the end of the year, we were very glad to participate and work with Noel and the rest of the City Council to help secure state tax credits for Hydrate Chemicals' $9 million expansion that's going to create 9 new jobs in excess of $18.50 an hour. Right now, what we're also doing is we're working with a supplier to an existing Waterloo business that is looking actively at real estate in the Cedar Valley area, including Waterloo. They're looking at, they're contemplating building a new facility that would be in excess of 10 to 40,000 square feet. We're also actively, as Steve has probably brought up before, and all of I've talked, we've had phone conversations and exchange material with Flowers Foods, with the president of their bread division, concerning the acquisition of the downtown bread production facilities. Some of you don't know, Flowers bid for Wonders brand and recipe. They only ended up wanting to acquire in their bid 20 of the 36 bakeries Hostess actually owned and operate, and Waterloo being one of them. So we work as advocates to keep those communications going with Flour to get them to hopefully open up a bakery production facility in Waterloo as they begin the final approval process. Right now, they have to there's some oversight that the federal government has, and they have to go through those necessary, dotting those necessary I's and T's. The president of the bread division, last time I talked to him, he said that there isn't any timetable on it from their end. They want to do it right. They want to make sure that they do it right and only have to do it once with the federal government. So as long as he keeps taking our calls and we can have communication, I think that we're heading in the right direction with that. But we're working as a team to accomplish that effort. Also, we really haven't had a chance to really discuss it with you. We've talked to Noel and the mayor about it, but we all know that recently Facebook also selected Altoona. Some might not know the specifics of it, but Waterloo ended up being the second site on their short list at the end of the day from being considered, even though we were eliminated maybe 11 months ago, I think it is. That one thing that we need to be proud of ourselves as a community, that it was an open cattle call. Facebook, going back to October of 2011, when we saw the lead, their site search started in the Rocky Mountains, and it stretched from the Rocky Mountains to the Mississippi River. And so to be one of the 3 finalists in this process of searching for this mega data center, for Waterloo to be third, it shows a couple things, is that this community can do it, but it also confirms that a company like Facebook can recognize the physical and intellectual infrastructure that Waterloo has. Since we've been eliminated, we have been working over the last 10 months of trying to put Waterloo and those assets in front of other data center companies and IT users. I think now that the infrastructure is out there, the roads are obviously a sign of improvement since we've shown it to Facebook, and a substation going right next to the new business park will even make it a lot easier of a sell. And we're going to continue. We're going to be able to market. It'll be a lot easier for us now that a lot of that infrastructure is there. It shows a lot better than it did when we showed it to Facebook. So we're bullish. We figured if Altoona was the number one Iowa site, then that has to make us the number 2 Iowa site for a large data center. Now it makes us number 1. Our job now is to tell the story of Waterloo, Iowa, and tell prospects that there are other choices in Iowa other than Des Moines. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or we can talk offline about anything that you want to know about specifically related to the projects.
Thanks, Lisa. Does anybody have any questions of Lisa?
Just a quick question.
Yes, David.
The bakery, are we talking about the downtown location or out by the other alternate location?
We're talking about the downtown location. I'm sorry? Yes, Flour acquired their package deal was the bakery itself on Commercial and also the retail store on Burton.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it. Well done.
Good afternoon. I'm Britt Young, and the majority of what I do, or the basis of what I do, is to help businesses grow in the Cedar Valley. And we've implemented a series of programs to kind of help that process develop here. And one of those this year has been our economic gardening program called Advanced Cedar Valley. And the Greater Cedar Valley Alliance and Chamber partnered with the University of Northern Iowa to start this program here in the Cedar Valley, which basically allows us to target stage 2 companies that have some certain characteristics that make them prime for growth opportunities. And when we say growth, we're talking about increases in both personnel and revenue. And we take them through a process that will allow them to discover the opportunities or barriers within their company that we can remove to make this growth more likely to happen on an accelerated schedule. So we had to choose 4 pilot companies, and the first company to go through this program was a company from Waterloo. They are a manufacturing company, a stage 2 manufacturing company that has a specialized product, which made it really easy for us to implement certain services, including GIS mapping, so we can see where different customer opportunities are, advanced marketing services, strategic planning services, and also market research to kind of investigate their competitors. And through this process, we're helping them to develop an 18-month plan that will hopefully generate a minimum of 10% growth over the next 18 months. So we're very excited. It's already producing some great ideas, and we're proud that the first company was a Waterloo company. In addition to that, a lot of business growth is dependent upon its most valuable resource, which is talent. And we've developed a suite of programs at the Cedar Valley Alliance and Chamber that include our Talent Connect programs, which are job fairs that we put on, including the one that took place in February in the 5 Sullivan Brothers Convention Center, which featured 750 job seekers and over 60 employers. And also our job fairs that are targeted at realignment services. So that means when a company would choose to close its doors, such as in the hostess situation, or eliminate some positions, we're able to step in and kind of hold a fair to realign those positions to hopefully keep those workers in the same community and within the same industry if we can. So we've been able to implement several of those this year to help make sure we keep the talent local and growing. Additionally, when we've seen some of those situations happen in other communities, we've gone the extra step and tried to match that talent that's available and bring them to our Waterloo employers that are seeking those job skills. And we've been able to relocate several people to the area in the fields of manufacturing and finance and customer service that were looking for other job opportunities, and we're able to find them in their communities. And I think the more success stories that we build with that, it'll tell a great story about the Cedar Valley and Waterloo in particular. In addition, we launched a program called Work the Valley, and it's targeted at a message of mainly to young professionals, especially those in our higher education institutions, to choose the Cedar Valley first. What we found when we've looked at the data is that we're often not the first choice for young professionals. They want to go off to the big city, they want to see what the urban life is like, and our job is really to show them that it's here. There's a lot of opportunities here, and if you get away from campus, which a lot of our students don't, you might find something that you didn't know existed. So we've started implementing bus tours. Every other month we fill a bus full of students that sign up, and we take them to different companies around the Cedar Valley. So some Waterloo companies that have been featured are Visual Logic downtown here, VGM, John Deere, of course, Granger Industrial Supply, quite a few of our Veridian Credit Union, quite a few of our hallmark local employers that your average college student might not know about. In fact, we surveyed about 2,000 of them this year, and the top employers that they mentioned are, of course, John Deere, but after that, they were fairly retail operations, including, of course, like Scratch and things like that. So we're trying to show them that those job opportunities that they're seeking out really do exist here in the Cedar Valley, and we're going to make them available to them. So there are other parts of Work the Valley, including this summer, our first intern social. We're going to try to reach out to all the interns and summer college students that are here in the Cedar Valley and convince them why they should stay here after graduation. So we're going to get them together in one place, kind of follow the lead of our competing cities across the state. They do similar programs, and show them that there's a great group of young professionals here in the Cedar Valley. They should really consider getting to know each other and getting to know our employers so we can retain that talent, which is extremely valuable. We're projecting we'll have about 1,000 job openings in the professional sector over the next 2 years. And of course, we always have our skilled trade demands here in the Cedar Valley to look after as well. So just a few of the highlights of some things we've been doing the past quarter and our plans for the future. So
Britt, how do you arrive at the 1,000 job openings in the next 2 years? Is that
it's survey
jobs?
results.
How do you arrive at that?
We have some new jobs based on prospects, but we also have retirement figures based on ages of people in the current workforce. We also have numbers of job openings. We've sent out mass business surveys where they're projecting how many people they're going to hire in the next 6, 12, 18, and 24 months across a variety of industry sectors that allow us to project that.
So it's not necessarily new jobs. It could, you
No,
mentioned retirees.
no,
Okay.
yes, but
Okay.
as our population remains, we need to make sure we bring in those new people to take those positions and succession happens, so.
You may have questions for Britt? Anybody? David? No? You mentioned one other thing I'm curious about. Stage 2 company. What's a Stage 2 company?
Stage 2 company is typically a company that has 9 to 99 employees. We are targeting people with a minimum of about $500,000 in revenue, but usually the companies that are generating at least $1 million to $2 million in revenue are usually primed to invest in some growth opportunities.
Okay.
So those two characteristics are key when targeting our economic gardening clients.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good afternoon. As Steve and Lisa and Britt mentioned, we really appreciate your time and your interest in hearing about our updates. And at any time, any of you are welcome to contact any one of the team for further information. I'll start off and then I'll let Chair Hurley finish up. You do have my report in front of you, and I won't go over all of those items, but just want to highlight a couple of things. That in the Tech One building, we are still working with the Iowa Innovation Corporation to pursue the Advanced Manufacturing Hub, and that will be in addition to or complementing our pursuit of the Tech Shop initiative that some of you, I think, were able to join us last month in that open house or that announcement that Dan Woods did in conjunction with the McElroy Foundation. In addition, the Tech 2 project is still moving along. I know it doesn't appear to be because there's not a lot of activity. As you'll note in my report, everything is still ready to go except one piece, and that's what we're working with the city, the Historic Preservation Commission, and that is to designate the Tech 2 building a historic site. And that's the last piece that is needed in order to pursue the historic tax credits. And we will be going to that hearing on June 14th, and I know the mayor is going to join us, as well as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission and some others. So we feel confident that that's still in place. I've talked to the developer recently. We have no reason to believe that things aren't moving successfully. They have every intention of completing the project. They're still very, very committed. We've already got the agreements with the national chain hotel and restaurant. So again, the historic tax credits are what we're waiting for and we're pursuing. We're very confident that we will succeed in that. We have the new market tax credits, the energy tax credits. As you know, the development agreement with the city is in place, and the conventional lending is already in place. So we feel very confident with that. Tim?
Jerry, a question, I'm sorry. When a state historical society designates Tech 2 as a historical location, how long is it from then until the historic tax credits can be released?
And actually, the state has already accepted the historic designation. This next step is their recommendation to the federal, for the federal designation. And our understanding is that, again, we'll know better in June, after that June 14th hearing, but probably another 30 days.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Tim?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council staff. I'm not going to get into anything deeper than Carrie. She does a fine job in relation to the Tech Works, other than one specific thing about that, and then some closing general comments for me. As things develop with Tech 1 and Tech 2, and the stew is cooking down there, we continue, not only as Tech Works, but as an alliance, to be very aware of the Tech Works relevancy to the entire community. You know, the Sportsplex down there will be opening this fall, winter. It's going to be people from all over the valley for general and specialized activities, sometimes socially oriented. And we want to capture that part of that crowd also and continue interesting them. And one of those ways could be a Tinker Works at the Tech Works, if you would. And some of you are aware of the Tech Shop concept, and we continue to pursue that. In general, again, have nothing more to say about Tech Works, but you know, I kind of understand what this is about, and we do appreciate this quarterly opportunity to update you on everything going on in maybe in a kind of a coarse way. It's what have you done for me lately sort of thing, and where is the evidence? And I just wanted to tell you, you know, the easiest thing in the world would, for all of us on both sides of the rail here, would be the evidence, because our construction industry, local construction industry, was bursting at the seam, that ground was breaking all over, that jobs were pouring in, and our tax base was growing and growing to the point that maybe we didn't have to offer incentive packages at the drop of a hat. I think that's a worthwhile goal. I think it's a worthy goal, and I think it's a realizable goal. It's not just around the corner. I won't fool you that way, but as you heard from Lisa and Carrie, and maybe Steve can kiss it off, it's happening. I just wanted to tell you, in my involvement with the Tech Works and with the Alliance all these years, even now, and kind of being an insider, it is almost weekly that I come to understand some other activity that somebody like Britt or Lisa or any of the fine staff down there get involved in that are important to Waterloo and important to the Cedar Valley. obviously things in government relations, initiatives in community development and education from K-12, skilled trades, higher ed, talent and workforce recruitment, communications, infrastructure, amenities, including our work at our airport, networking activities, diversity and inclusion activities. All of these things are supportive of and point to the overall economic development initiative, which we're all very interested in and is the most visible. But I'm saying without those activities that oftentimes go unseen by investors such as yourself, it's good to bring it up once in a while. And every one of those initiatives I mentioned has 15 minutes each that we could talk about, and hopefully sometime we could, at these sessions, we could carve out and let's do one and drill down in depth. But they all support, like I said, economic development, and they all have some common theme in mind, a common theme: to attract, to retain, and to engage quality companies, quality folks, quality graduates, and quality families to bring us to the full realization of what we know our great city can be. So I'll just leave you with that. Thank you for the investment and for having faith in the Greater Cedar Valley Alliance. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions for Tim? Follow-up questions for anybody? Thank you all very much, Steve and crew. Much appreciated. Good job.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much. We have a nice crowd tonight in the audience, so welcome to all of you and all of those that might be watching on our public access television. Again, welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterloo City Council this Monday, May 6th, 2013. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll, please?
Yes, Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Getty?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Greenwood? Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Welper?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
If you would all join me, please, in standing for just a moment of silent reflection and prayer. Thank you very much. Our pledge tonight is going to be led by Mr. Noel Anderson, our Community Planning and Development Director. Noel?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. I believe we have, oops, I'm sorry. Do a couple of things first. Hart?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the amended agenda, and those amendments are adding a 2A, B, C, and D from our consent agenda to our regular council meeting so that they can be decided upon individually, and those are all involving license permits for Dollar General, Club Fire, the Iowa Department of Natural Resources for a yard waste application, and a Class C liquor license permit for Rumpelstiltskin. Also on number 19, we're going to change the wording for clarification of proper amendments. And on number 21, it's the same thing, to change the wording for clarification. Also with the Amended agenda, I also move that we approve the minutes from April 22nd, 2013's regular session.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions or comments regarding tonight's agenda or the minutes? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have a proclamation and just a recognition tonight. Jim Johnson, Jim, you're here from the post office. Why don't you come join me right up front? Let's talk about this just a little bit. This upcoming Saturday is going to be the 21st, right?
11th, or yeah.
21st.
21st annual.
21st annual
Yep.
letter carrier,
Food
mail carrier, letter carrier food drive.
That's correct.
And you guys are the largest organization in the nation for collecting food for needy families and food pantries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so forth. And it's Waterloo's 20th year. So for 20 years, the Waterloo Postal Service and the letter carriers have been out picking up food as they deliver the mail, and it's this Saturday. So all of you watching out there, please remember, and all of you here, that when you put your mail out or before you put your mail out or something this Saturday, hang a bag of food out there. And I'm going to give you a microphone, Jim, and let you just kind of explain a little bit about what you do and how you do it and so forth. So,
Thank you. Like I said, I've been a local letter carrier for 15 years, and what happens on Food Drive Day, everyone puts non-perishable foods out by their mailbox. We'd like that by 9 o'clock if possible. And letter carriers and their families, we have a lot of other local union organizations and so forth that help us out. We get lots of donations with help from semis to moving stuff from local high school football teams and stuff like that. So if you can get your food out, we normally average around 40,000 pounds every year. We'd like to make that number bigger. The local food bank is, they encompass several counties, so their need is getting bigger and bigger every year. So all the support you could give us, we really appreciate.
Jim, thank you very much. And
Thank
thank
you
you
very
guys for what you do. It's a great
you.
gesture. Thank you very much. And I know Aaron is here. I haven't seen Pat. Is Pat here? Pat Morrissey? Aaron Buzza, why don't you come on up, please? How are you, sir? Good. Looking great in your pink tonight, by the way.
Nice to be on this side of the fence.
Yeah, there you go. Aaron is up here to, we're going to celebrate, it was a proclamation, Bike Month, Bike to School Day, Bike to Work Week, and Bike to Work Day. There's a lot of bike to works there, sorry. City of Waterloo, Iowa proclamation. Whereas in 1956, the League of American Wheelmen designated the month of May as National Bicycle Month. And since then, the League of American Bicyclists has annually designated May as National Bicycle Month. And whereas bicycling is not only a recreational activity, but also an aerobic and toning exercise suitable for one's fitness and health regimens, as well as an energy-saving, cost-cutting, and environmentally friendly method of transportation. I'll agree to that. Whereas May 8th, 2013 has been designated as National Bike to School Day, and whereas May 13th through May 17th has been designated as National Bike to Work Week, and whereas May 17th has been designated as National Bike to Work Day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Buck Clark, Mayor of the City of Waterloo, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Bike Month in the City of Waterloo, Iowa, and strongly encourage all to get out and bike. That's the main thing. Aaron, I'm going to give that to you, and I'm going to give you the microphone.
Thank you very much, Mayor. As you well know, biking to work takes just a little bit of advanced planning, but it's something that's easy to do, something that's good for your body, something that's good for the environment, and something that saves quite a bit of money. And a group of us have gotten together really to think about how we want to encourage folks to think of bicycling as more than just recreation. We have the state's tourism attraction of the year with the recreational trails here, but we want to have people think about it as commuting, as running errands,
Yeah.
and get on their bikes and ride. And we've got some great prizes to give people who will submit pictures to us as they ride to work next week. I know Councilman Jones is going to be riding and sending me a picture. And we're going to have a bike rally on the 17th near the Public Market Co-op.
Perfect.
More details to follow, but thank
Perfect.
you very much.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. Thank you for what you do, too. Thank you. Jim, are you biking to work next week?
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Thank you very much, folks.
Mr. Mayor, we want to take these individually, right?
Yeah, but let's do the consent agenda first and then do the other ones after that, please.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I move that we receive, place on file, and approve the consent agenda items 1A through, B or C3.
Okay.
Also, with the approval of the consent agenda, I move that we approve our bills payment schedule, which will be read by our finance chair.
The bills this week are $3,365,354.18. That is 3,365,354.18.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions or concerns regarding the consent agenda? Before we vote on that, hang on just a second. Let me,
The end of it is actually B14 because
Right.
C, all of C is moved off of consent.
okay, so, and
So moved.
what you may have on, if you're looking at our consent agenda, item B8 has been removed and will be dealt with individually, and all of the items under C, 1, 2, and 3 have been removed. So those are not included on the consent agenda. Council, have any questions or concerns? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Ms. Cole?
I would vote yes on everything. I will abstain on item number 13 because I am employed by that group.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones? Yes. Mr. Schmidt?
I would vote yes, but I need to abstain on a payment of $1,966.13 to Schmidt Telecom Partners for work done on behalf of the city.
Mr. Wolfer?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. The consent agenda is adopted minus those notes that we made. Let's handle, could we do 2A and 2B together, please? Those are both motions to deny liquor licenses. I think we can have discussion about those separately, or do you want them both?
Did you want to acknowledge your reappointments?
I didn't even realize we had any. Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Dustin Whitehead or Dave Lenhart or Lee Morrison. Are any of you here tonight? Dustin Whitehead, Dave Lenhart, and Lee Morrison are all reappointments to our Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission. And it's extremely important that we have volunteers that serve on those boards and commissions. They make our system work. So as people volunteer for the first time or volunteer for reappointment, we greatly appreciate that. So to those three, thank you for stepping up and serving again as members of our PP&Z Commission. And thank you, Mr. Schmidt, for reminding me. And if we could take 2A and 2B, is that okay with you, Mr. Schmidt? Okay.
Mr. Mayor? All right.
Yes, sir.
So item 2A is a motion to deny Class B beer and Class B wine license permit application as for the Dollar General store number 7162 at 930 West 5th Street, which would be a new license. And then also item number 2B is to a motion to deny Class B beer and Class B wine license permit application as for Club Fire at 501 West 4th Street. And so both those motions are motion to deny.
Correct. Second?
Okay, there's motion and a second to deny those two license applications. Council, does anybody have any questions regarding those?
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Cole?
I assume that the motion to deny and the reason these people are in the overlay district, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And the Board of Adjustment had turned them down, the citizen board that is supposed to do these permits.
That's correct, in both
Excellent.
respects. And
Okay.
does anybody need an explanation further from that? They are both in the overlay district. recommendations from the board.
Which we passed because many citizens ask us to do so.
Right, okay.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question about 2B,
Okay.
and that was, I was looking, the Board of Adjustment did allow Saks Pub to go into a location that was 16 feet from a house, 175 feet from another lounge. So I was just wondering, does anybody have any information on why that was allowed and in comparison to the Club Fire, which is probably about a half block away from the downtown zone?
Well, the Club Fire, the actual reason that it is being denied is that with the new ordinance that we passed, that council passed, there's a 90-day grandfathering in clause, and if it goes past the 90 days, then the grandfathering in of that license is no longer admissible. And this particular location went longer than that period of time without having a liquor license in it.
And that's an excellent point, because the Saks did as well. So I was just wondering if that standard didn't stand for that, why it didn't.
Who's that?
Eric Schrader.
Eric, do you want to, can you speak with that? I wasn't ready to speak about Saks tonight.
Eric Schrader, City Planner, I'll try. There's only been a couple of requests for variances that have gone before the Board of Adjustment. Variances or special permits that have gone before the Board of Adjustment dealing with alcohol sales uses since our new regulations have gone into effect. And I think we're up to 3 now, and 2 of the 3, or no, 4. And 3 of the 4 have been denied by the Board of Adjustments. The Saks one, it was a struggle and a significant amount of debate, and it was not a unanimous vote of the Board of Adjustment. I don't remember the exact vote, but it was not unanimous. But one of the biggest things they looked at there was its location, and it was not in an overlay district. There was a lot of discussion and some opposition from some of the surrounding property owners concerned on concentration in that area as well, but it wasn't one of those areas we identified as having a high concentration and a problem area, so it wasn't put in an overlay district. So they did not need a variance to that provision. They did need the variance to the proximity to another alcohol sales use and the residential, proximity to a residential use. So that one was approved. There was a request not too many blocks to the north in the strip mall there. That was denied. The Dollar General was denied, which was in an overlay district, and then this one was denied, which was in an overlay district. And there was a significant amount of discussion on this one as well, and it was also not a unanimous decision. There was quite a bit of discussion dealing with it. It's right along the highway. It's right next to the downtown. It has historically been a bar, but there were also some discussions that, it is within the overlay district that was created, which was designed to cover basically the Church Row neighborhood association. It is in pretty close proximity to some protected uses. It was the only protected use that was actually within the limits that would require a variance was the Lou Henry Hoover Memorial Sculpture Walk and Sculpture Garden right across the street there. There's grout right across the street that would be within the setback as well, but they're actually not considered a protected use. And there are several churches that also were not within that setback distance. But there was a lot of debate on both ones, and it wasn't unanimous decisions. But yeah, one of them has been approved for the Saks site off of along the Port Road there. And
Was the Saks outside of the 90 days?
it was outside of the 90 days, yeah. There wasn't a lot of discussion at the Board of Adjustment regarding the 90 days. It was mentioned that had they been, applications submitted prior to the 90 days, that then they would not have lost legal nonconforming status and would have been able to go back in there. Most of the discussion was on, the variant, since they've lost legal nonconforming status, what variances do they need to the alcohol requirements?
Okay, one more question, and in regards to the variance, now, this was an overlay district, so we had a moratorium that was put in place. And so that moratorium lasted how long?
I would have to go back through and review that. I don't remember off the top of my head. It got extended, you know, it was passed for an initial time period, and actually the initial moratorium before the new regulations were passed initially was, well, and again, we passed the regulations in a couple of different timeframes, but the most recent regulations that we adopted in 2012, after that, there was initially a moratorium just on the Broadway area, and then when the moratorium was nearing expiration and we had not yet completed the new ordinance amendments that were going to be going through the process, they extended, the moratorium was extended and expanded to cover each of the different overlay districts. And then once the new ordinance was passed, the moratorium was rescinded then.
So it was, I thought it was about 180 days, roughly, something like that, because we extended it. So
That sounds, I mean,
if that began in August and we had to wait, a person in that area wanted to wait, would have basically had to wait several months before they could even do it, because we were kind of working through some of the logistics of what we were going to have for this ordinance. Plus, at the time, we weren't really allowing anything to go on in an overlay district. So I'm just wondering, you know, it's right off of the highway. It's not 16 feet away from a house. The time frame passed as well in regards to when a person could apply. So I was just kind of wondering, I understand the Dollar General, I believe, is, if I'm not mistaken, right across from a liquor store, close proximity, but I really wasn't understanding the in comparison to Sykes and this. If it was just the time frame, then they did allow another place to go in. So I'm just wondering, between the moratorium, between that, between all of the things we have in here, why that one would have been denied as opposed, and then why we're denying it today.
yeah, the time frame was not a major part of the discussion that the Board of Adjustment have. It was just recognized as the time frame had lapsed, and therefore they needed the variances. Regarding the, you know, the moratorium, yes, there is wording in that, the provision if you lose your legal nonconforming status for being closed for more than 90 days, there is wording in there that an exception if you're basically government interaction precluding you from operating, which a moratorium would affect, but the moratorium and the new ordinance has been in place for more than 90 days. So even after the moratorium expired, there's been more than 90 days since then, and the location in question has been closed for more than 90 days during that time period in which there was no moratorium. The other thing, you know, it was a tough decision for the Board of Adjustment, but, you know, we have talked with the applicant about, you know, there are other alternatives. A limited alcohol sales use, i.e. a restaurant, is permitted in the overlay district. When we were adopting that ordinance, there was a lot of discussion to allow, you know, potentially not allow any alcohol sales uses. What was settled on is non-limited is not permitted, and then certain limited are not permitted, but certain limited are. Basically, what's permitted in an overlay district is a restaurant, a grocery store over 10,000 square feet, and a pharmacy. So a restaurant would be permitted. You know, obviously there's, you know, the other appeal process as well, but regarding the license that's, you know, in front of you tonight, it would be very difficult to approve the license when the Board of Adjustment has denied the use. I don't know what exactly that would mean.
And I'm wondering then, and that's another question, why is this on here then? If they've already denied it, if we approved it tonight, first of all, is there an appeal process for the decisions that the Board of Appeals make?
Yes, there is, and I have provided that information to the clerk's office. I think they got some questions on that too. You can appeal a decision of the Board of Adjustment. You appeal it to court, and they've got 30 days to file such an appeal. I have spoke with the property owner's attorney about that. I don't know, I think he's weighing his options. Appealing the Board of Adjustment's decision in court is basically going to be looking at whether there was something illegally decided. So it is a pretty strong standard that they'd have to try and come up with.
So if we deny this tonight, and then they go back to appeal the decision by the Board of whatever, then adjustments, Board of I get appeal adjustments, my age, and the Board of Adjustment was appealed, and they overturn it, they come back and they approve it. Does it come back before the council again, or how does that work out? Because the 30 days hasn't lapsed.
If they appeal the Board of Adjustment's decision and were successful, I would think it could come back to the city council. It's kind of outside of my realm of expertise, if it can just come back, if it's, filed as a new application. And your other question was, does it even need to be on there? The clerk's office kind of raised that question as well, since it's our action on sign off on the license is listed as a recommendation, but if it's not compliant with zoning, does it even need to come to this step to actually have a denial, or could it just not be placed on the agenda? And I don't know that we've got the determination on that yet.
I did get a determination, not until 5 o'clock, so I apologize. But what I would recommend is for the one where the 30 days has...
Mr. Walsh?
Well, I'm sure that the clerk would have gotten it right, too, but I was here anyway, I might as well.
You look like you were anxious to get out.
It would be highly unusual for the council to approve a license for a location that wasn't a legal use. I don't know why you would do that. I wouldn't have put it on the agenda, probably, if I'd had time to consider it. The fact is, if they do succeed in overturning the Board of Adjustment in district court, they can apply for another license. It will then be an allowable location, and you could allow it if you wanted to.
Thank you. Is that what you found out?
Yes.
Forward me that email.
Further? Mr. Hart?
No.
Thank you, Barrick. Okay, we're still on 2A and 2B, the motion to deny the two liquor license permits. Been a motion and a second on both of those. Are there any further questions? Let's do a roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes on A, no on B.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carry. Both of those licenses are denied at this point. Let's do 2C, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Welper.
2C is a motion to deny an exception to burning yard waste application through the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, the Jordan Wythe State Park, 3659 Wythe Road, in May of 2013.
Second.
Dan, would you explain, please, why that was denied? That motion to deny is coming from the fire department.
Dan Tralka, Director of Safety Services. For burns of this type, typically the fire department will allow these if it's a prairie burn for management purposes, or if it's a large ceremonial fire such as a bonfire for a homecoming or any event like that. When they reviewed these circumstances and went and looked at what was going to be burned, it were some very large trees of high moisture content, some lumber that was painted, so they denied it. Now, there are no residents near where these burns were going to be held. However, it is a high visibility area with the highway going by. There would be high exposure to people driving by, so we're quite certain we would get many complaints if this were to be granted. We typically haven't allowed these in the past. We don't want to start a precedence where we do allow them now, so they're recommending denial of this burn.
Further questions? Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Very good. The motion carries. The motion to deny is passed. Item 2D, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Getty?
make a motion to approve a Class C liquor license permit application for the Rumpelstiltskin, 120 Summer Street, new license that expires 10/26/13.
Second.
You want to tell us about that, Dan, or is there, are there specific questions?
I had a question. Is this the same bar that's just north of the railroad tracks and then east on Sumner Street that has had just one episode after another? We've had shootings over there. We've had just any variety of things in the 6 years I've been on the council. And so this is a new owner, and this bar has been continuously open, or has it been closed? I mean, I guess I kind of want to go back to a little bit of some of the timeframes we were talking about a little bit earlier with one of the other issues.
Dan Trolka, Director of Safety Services. It is that bar, however, it's being denied for zoning issues, and at that particular...
This is to be approved.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been relatively quiet from the police department's standard. We had no reason to deny it from a law enforcement point of view. And it's my understanding in regard to the zoning issues that it has been in operation long enough so that the overlay would not impact it.
Eric, could you speak to that one too, please, just so we get a total picture?
Eric Schrader, city planner, yes, we did review that one, and the last business that was in there was Cotton Club of Iowa, I think was the name of it, and I don't have the exact date that it closed, but we did review that, and they are less than the 90 days, not much less than the 90 days, but they did get a complete application filed ahead of that 90-day requirement. Yes, it is in the overlay district, and yes, I think it has been a site that has had problems in the past, but I think that might have even preceded the Cotton Club of Iowa, and was it Wild Ice Lounge, maybe, I think, is the one that was there before that. That was pretty problematic. And I think the current one, I'm not exactly sure why the applicant is, doing it the way he is, that it's showing up as a new, and I think isn't it just a 6-month license even, rather than a regular year? But it's essentially a change of name of the business, essentially, but they didn't file it as a change of name. They let their old license expire, and they're applying for this new 6 months, but it's the same owner as who owned the Cotton Club of Iowa.
Who's the owner? Roosevelt
Yeah.
Company?
Roosevelt.
Or is this company?
And so there's a church nearby. I think there may be a daycare nearby, but...
There's not a daycare. There's a church nearby.
Okay, I thought there was a playground nearby, too. So,
Railroad.
and we've tightened up those, the distances, but the fact that this is grandfathered in, that doesn't
Yeah,
imply that...
if this site had been closed for more than 90 days, there'd be a multiple of reasons why its license could not move forward, including proximity to protected uses, and even if it wasn't, the fact that it is within the overlay, one of the overlay districts, but because they're keeping a business in there, without having it closed for more than 90 days, they're under the grandfather clause, essentially, the legal nonconforming status. So yeah, we didn't have any reasons we could not sign off on it for zoning.
Thank you.
Further questions? Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Very good. Passes. Item number 2, please.
Mayor,
Mr. Hart?
move to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing for the development agreement with Blackhawk Contracting and Development to authorize the sale and conveyance of a portion of city-owned property for $1 along Lafayette Street near its intersection with East 7th Street for the construction of 4 townhouse dwellings.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file to this item?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against the Lafayette Street development? Second time.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we close the hearing.
Second. Council, do you have any questions or concerns?
I just got one question. First, I think we very much so need to compliment, this is John Riff,
Yes.
right? For all the work he's done in this area. The only question I had, though, is we, a while ago, had given away some of the parks to be developed. Does this have an impact on when those other areas that we already locked up for he and his company to have, does this have any impact on when we'll see some progress at those parks? I don't know, just wondering, because...
Yeah. Mr. Hart, I obviously can't speak for Mr. Roof, but maybe Noel can.
Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. Obviously, that'd be a question for Mr. Roof, but I don't believe so. This is kind of a different product that he's offering, and I put a drawing up there of what they're proposing. These are rear loading garages on these units, so he really likes it for this area where there's a mixture of units with garages and without garages. None of the other sites that we've talked about really have that option, except for one of them over at Madison and Monroe where they're putting in an alley. But he's really kind of putting this one out there differently than the other prototype houses he's planning. So I don't think it really impacts those as directly, maybe a little indirectly in terms of the number of units that he's able to build at a time. But otherwise, I'd say no.
And just in conversations with him, Mr. Hart, I can tell you that he's anxious to move forward on the parks as well. I think he has all intentions and the wherewithal to get everything done that he's committed to doing.
He's doing an excellent job.
Yeah, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing said sale and conveyance and authorize city attorney to prepare and deliver deed accordingly.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution approving said development agreement and authorize mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good. Item number 2 carries. Number 3, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Getty?
make a motion to receive and file proof of publication and notice of public hearing for the 2013 local and long-distance phone services.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak either for or against our local and long-distance phone service? The second time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions at this point? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion we adopt a resolution confirming approval of the plans, specifications, former contract, and et cetera.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Schmidt?
I would be abstaining on this motion as my company is one of the bidders.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion we adopt a resolution ordering the construction.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Abstain.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor, make a motion to receive and file and instruct the city clerk to open and read bids and refer to the city clerk for review.
Second.
Very good. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have two bidders.
We have a new one.
What's that?
We have a new bid.
We got three.
Oh, we have
Three.
Sheet.
three.
Just have it.
Oh, okay. We have 3 bidders. Thank you. There's no bid estimate on this particular item, and there's no security required on this.
First bid is from CenturyLink. And there's all sorts of facts here, but the total PRI cost is $2,050. The 50 POTS line cost is $1,489.50 for a total cost of $3,539.50. And then there's a whole lot of details that we'll map out when we give you the bid test.
Lost me.
Is that a month or something?
What is, is that 35, 39 a month? What is that?
My guess is yes, that is monthly. $3,539. That would make sense.
We started off, Suzy, with 2,500.
2,050. Carol.
2,050, 1,489.50 for a total of $3,539.50.
1,400 and
89.50.
a total of,
3,539.
$3,539.50.
thank you.
The next bid is from Partner Provided, Inc. They broke theirs out a little differently, so I'm just gonna read their total. Their total is $3,179.50, 3,159.50. And the final bid is from Schmidt Telecom Partners of Waterloo, Iowa.
We can have Steve read it to you.
All right, it looks like, again, this one's written out a little different, but it looks like the total monthly charges will be somewhere between $4,198.44 and $5,538.58.
Read the last number again, please.
The first one's 4,198.44, and the last one's 5,538.58. It's just because the
Thank you.
numbers vary.
Very good. Suzy, would you take care of those, please?
I will.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt?
Interject, Chair, and I don't know if it's appropriate at this time, but I think probably a majority of the folks who are in the room are here for item number 29, I think. And I'm just wondering if at this late date, if it's too late to ask to move that up so we could discuss that, and they might not have to sit through 27 items, or if I should have done that at the beginning and it's too late to do it now, or...
Okay, I certainly don't have an issue with it. I would ask the clerk and the attorney to...
If nobody objects, it's the chair's prerogative to take things in different orders.
I'd like to make that motion then, if I need to move that up to the next time.
Yeah, do you want, is a motion needed or just the request?
not needed.
Just the request.
Oh, okay.
I don't have any problem with that, and I agree with you, so we're here for that. Does anybody else have any issue with that?
I would like to get through the hearings and then
Okay.
take that one.
Okay, could we do that, Mr. Schmidt? Let's do the other two hearings and then do that one before we do the resolutions. Would that work?
Okay, sure.
Okay,
Mayor.
let's get through those. Item number 4, please, Mr. Hart.
I move that we receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing for the FY 2013 Street Reconstruction Program, contract number 832.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and that hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file item number 4?
There were none.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak either for or against our street reconstruction program? Second time.
Mr. Mayor, move that we close the hearing.
Second. Council, do you have any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plans, specifications, form of contract, etc.
It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution ordering construction.
Second. And that's also a roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to receive and file and instruct city clerk to open and read bids and refer to city engineer for review.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Madam Clerk, please.
You have a bid sheet?
For our street reconstruction program, we have one bid, several different alternates and estimates.
Okay, the first bid is from Aspro Inc. of Waterloo, Iowa.
First and only.
First and only.
No.
The bid bond is for 5%. And the total base bid plus alternate A plus division 2 is $7,599, $7,599,164.87, 7,599, 164.87.
164.87.
Yep.
Is that our primary number that we're looking for?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the only number they gave us.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's do item number 5, please.
I like the 700,000 better.
Mr. Hart?
Move to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing for the rehabilitate T-Hanger A roofing and siding project at Waterloo Regional Airport.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, are there any written objections on file? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either for or against our hangar fixing project at the Waterloo Airport? Second time.
Mr. Mayor, I move to close the hearing.
Second.
Council, do you have questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution confirming approval of plan specifications, form of contract, et cetera.
Second.
It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Motion carries.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Schmidt?
When it goes silent, I'm assuming she's done.
I understand, yeah.
I lost my ink pen. I'm better.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution ordering construction.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to receive and file and instruct city clerk to open and read bids and refer to airport director for review.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please.
All right, the estimate's $99,016, 99,016.00, and there's 3 bids. The first bid is from Don Gardner Construction of Waterloo, Iowa. And the bid bond is for 5%. And the total bid is for $97,097,000.00. The next bid is from Modern Builders, Inc. of Janesville, Iowa. The bid bond is for 5%. And the bid is for $82,500, 82,500.00. And the final bid is from Prairie Construction Services of Waterloo, Iowa. The bid bond is for 5%. And the total bid is for $63,510, 63,510.00.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just for everybody's information, this project is paid for entirely with FAA funding. Am I correct, Brad?
Thank you.
Iowa DOT. Well, very good. Thank you. DOT funding. Very good. That is the end of our bid openings and hearings, and at Councilman Schmidt's request and everybody's acceptance, we'll take item number 29, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 29, I'd like to make that motion: receive, file, consider, and pass for the first time an ordinance deleting the crime property Title 5, Chapter 5, and replacing it with chronic nuisance properties Title 5, Chapter 5 for the chronic nuisance properties ordinance.
Second. Very good. Council, you have questions or comments regarding this item?
Mr. Mayor, I guess the only comment I would have is I compliment Director Trelka on his work on this, and I know there's been some other folks that have been involved in it too. My only concern is that I know there's still a number of folks, and I think several of us, if not all of us, received some emails today and some correspondence that they would like to slow the process down a little bit, ultimately get it resolved, but to have continued dialogue on that. So I'd just like to share that thought, because I know one of the folks I got an email from couldn't be here tonight, so I did want to share that.
And I particularly with Councilman Greenwood gone, I don't think there's any way we're going to pass this on the first reading tonight. I'm sure it'll go 3 readings. So we will have 3 weeks at least to continue dialogue with this. And as I answered one of the emails today, where we are with this as far as trying to get to an absolute resolve where everybody is happy, we've got 2, opposing is probably the wrong word, but we've got the group of landlords who want one thing, and we've got the neighborhood association on the other side who wants quite a different thing as far as the ordinance. So we will go on. There will be, again, another 3 weeks to have conversation. Director Trelka's phone is open, his door is open, he's open for suggestions and comments, et cetera, et cetera. But I know he's put an awful lot of time into this. He's done a lot of due diligence, done a lot of research in other departments as to what they have done, and has tried to take the good out of each one of those. And I know not all of our audience is happy with those, but I think we need to settle on something that our department head, our Director of Safety Service, submits to us. We rely on them to do what's right by their services, and the citizens elect you guys to make decisions on their behalf. So,
Mr. Mayor, can you
quit rambling and answer? Yes, sir.
I'd like to have the chronic nuisance properties explained.
Okay. Director Trelka?
I know we're talking 1 call, 2 calls, 10 calls.
I'm sorry, do what?
The word nuisance.
Okay.
Explained.
As best you can, give us an overview.
Dan Trelka, Director of Safety Services. It's basically going to be 3 calls, 3 nuisance calls in any period less than a year, and those calls have to be validated. There has to have been a citation issued, a warning given, probable cause for an arrest, or an arrest made. So those calls have to be validated, and if we end up in a situation where we have 3 of these nuisance calls, there's a forced dialogue between myself and the property owner. They don't immediately get cited. There's a forced dialogue. They're given notification, they're given notice, they're advised that they need to provide me with a written abatement plan in a certain amount of time. If I don't get that written abatement plan, then they'll be cited, and we start charging them a police service fee for additional nuisance calls to their property. There's a lot of due process built into this, due diligence. We're trying to be fair, we're trying to be reasonable. We realize we're not going to make everybody happy, but the goal of this ordinance is to improve the quality of life in Waterloo.
Very good.
Dan, could you answer one of the comments, is that the 3 nuisance calls seem, unfair is not the right word, but there could be 3 shootings or 3 loud musics, and they're equal the same. And there's some question as to why wouldn't a shooting count more than a nuisance call?
Based on the mechanism we have in place to track our calls, I tried to keep it as simple as possible. If we added tiers, point values to varying degrees of nuisance activities, it would add an additional dimension of work for me and my staff to try to track these calls. So I tried to keep it simple with 3 types of calls. One good example, even a homicide is a very serious situation. With our current SHIELD system, homicide's not listed. Typically, the way we become aware of a homicide is it's a shooting in progress, it's an assault, or it's a medical assist call.
And I don't want to give anybody the impression that the reason we're not doing something is because it creates more work for somebody. If it's the right thing to do, we would do it. But I believe what we have found, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because these are your former words, not mine, is that some of the ordinances out there that you researched were cumbersome. They were hard to enforce.
Yes.
And what we have done, or what you're attempting to do, is to make it as simple as possible. Not necessarily to make less work, but to make it so that it will work, so that the officers will actually write it. We get to a point where if it's too cumbersome, the officers won't do anything about it in the first place.
Correct. The practitioners that have to apply this law need a simple tool to work with.
Okay.
What I've found in the other communities is the tools are sometimes too complex to utilize, so they're not being utilized.
Okay. Mr. Hart?
Chief, just a quick question for staff, but one of the parts where people were a little bit confused was the actual usage of the word nuisance, and if we had any other ordinances in place. They kind of got it confused with code enforcement a little bit, and then on the potential criminal side, and so that word kind of confused people a little bit because in some aspects they don't feel like any code enforcement will be enforced, when in actuality we're talking about criminal things. So what was your...
Correct. These are police department matters. There are separate ordinances to deal with these code enforcement issues. However, sometimes they go hand in hand. That's why, based on the work session and some of the comments I heard, when we give this notice to the property owners, we're also going to provide a copy to code enforcement so that they're aware what the police department is doing at these properties. And if there are code enforcement issues, they will be appropriately addressed by the Code Enforcement Division.
Mr. Mayor, just 2 quick things, I guess. Number one, and certainly anybody in the audience is welcome to speak to this too, but your comment about, the landlords and the neighborhood associations kind of being at opposing odds here.
Oh, and opposing may not be the right word.
Well, and I think maybe initially that was the concept, and I think over the last several months, the Landlord Association had a big meeting. You attended, I attended, several other council members attended. They had a very large turnout for that. I know there's been dialogue between the Landlords Association and some of the neighborhood associations, and I believe that, at the end of the day, they both have the same goal in mind, that roughly, pick a number, but 95% of the landlords, 95% of the homeowners, and 95% of the renters are good, God-fearing people that obey the laws, and it's that 5% that are the problem, and it's trying to be able to zero in on the 5%, not at the expense of the other 95%, I think is what ultimately everybody would like to get accomplished. And the only other thought I had is whether or not it would make sense to have, between now and the next reading, or now and the final reading, rather than Dan kind of doing this all on his own and his doors open, but maybe rather than having him have to have 10 different conversations, if we would have an organized meeting or 2 and invite the landlords, invite the housing, invite Ethel from Section 8, and invite some of the neighborhood representatives to come in a group setting, because I do think that there's a lot of commonality on this, and I think, and we get everybody in the room, it kind of reminds me of this, and I hate to bring this up, but the San Martin discussion we had, because we ended up in a lawsuit on that one, but the majority of the people that were at conflict for that development, we had those meetings, and most of those got resolved with the exception of one person, and that's how we ended up in the lawsuit. But I think, getting everybody in the room that's got some skin in the game might simplify Dan's life and might get us a better product before we launch this thing. So that'd be my suggestion.
I will, well taken, and I will In the end, I'm going to leave that decision up to Director Trelka, and if that's how you feel like we should proceed, then I will. And I'll liken it a little bit, Steve, to, again, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit. We have department heads that are in charge of these things. If we have a zoning issue, we go to our planning and zoning director and expect him to figure it out. If we need to build a parking lot, we go to engineering, and engineering needs to figure it out. This is a code enforcement, law enforcement issue, so we go to the Director of Safety Services to design something for us to make it work. In the end, I think we need to put a lot of stock in what our department heads come up with and what they present to us, and that's what they're there for, to do that. So I'm certainly not opposed to having public meetings if Director Trelka feels like we need to do that, or if you would like to do that. We can do that anytime. And maybe it's not a bad idea. We'll have that conversation, and if that's what we choose to do, we'll have that, maybe up here in the Molenhoff room or something like that. Have it not in the council setting, and have some discussion. Okay? There is a motion and a second on the first motion. Are there further comments by council? Madam Clerk, it's a roll call vote.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
No.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
No.
Ms. Cole?
Very good. Motion fails. We will take this up again next week. Thank all of you for your participation.
I would like to say something. I'm Nita Hall at 210 Birch,
Yes, ma'am.
and I think Dr. Tarelko has done a wonderful job getting this all put together. We've had meetings on it. You've had meetings on it. What other meetings do we need? Tell me that.
Bingo.
I don't know that we do.
Well, let's get it passed then.
Okay. And that may be the end result, Linda. Thank you for your comments very much, because we, I think we have been very open and straightforward with this, so. Anyway, it passed the first reading, and we will take it up again next week.
Mr. Mayor.
We're going to resolutions. If someone would take 6, 7, and 8, please. Mr. Hart?
Let's call if you would like to.
I'm sorry? Well, it was not a hearing. Why don't you, I will let public comment enter into it next week. If you would like to come back at next week's hearing, I will give time for public comment, and all of you. We'll see if we can't have a meeting between then, if Director Chalka chooses to do that. And if not, we will go forward, but we can do that. Yes, sir.
Forrest Dillard, 1725 Huntington Road.
Yes,
This
sir.
is not the way you normally conduct business. This is an exception. You normally let people speak. Is it because there is somebody here that wants to speak? Why are you not letting us speak? Thank you.
Very good.
Hearing.
Can we speak at oral presentation?
Yeah, Councilman Hart had a good comment. The vote's already been taken, but oral comments are at the end of the meeting. Anybody can speak about anything at the end of this meeting. If you would like, you can certainly have comments then. If not, I will allow comments at next week's revisiting of this issue. It's your choice.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve change order number 1 for a net increase of $548 for work performed by Boulder Contracting LLC of Grundy Center, Iowa for the FY 2013 Riverview Recreation Area Restroom Contract. Number 7, I move to approve change order number 1 for a net increase of $221.20 for work performed by KJWW Engineering of Des Moines, Iowa for the 5 Sullivan Brothers Convention Center audio upgrade. And number 8, I move to receive to place on file the 2012 audit of Waterloo Waterworks. And number 9, I move to approve change order number 3 for a net increase of $55,811.20 for work performed by Peterson Contractor, Inc. of Rhinebeck, Iowa for the FY 2011 Anaerobic Lagoon Influent Pump Station Contract number 807.
Second.
These are all voice votes, ladies and gentlemen, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Let's do the next three, 10, 11, 12, please.
Mayor, if nobody wants to.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry?
I'll take it.
Ms. Cole.
I move we adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Waterloo, Iowa, declaring its support and the intent of Janesville City, that part located in Blackhawk County, to hold a special election for the purpose of permitting the electorate to pass upon the proposition of imposing a 1% sales and service tax for that part of Blackhawk County in Janesville City, according to Chapter 431B.1, parens 3 of the 2008 Code of Iowa. 11 is a resolution approving submission of the grant application to Blackhawk County Gaming Association for funds in the amount of $72,000 to be used for the lighting and scoreboards at Danes Complex. 12 is a resolution approving a PSA with AECom Technical Services, Inc. in the amount of $9,500 for the Mitchell Avenue Lake Trail project, and authorize mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Second.
Okay, very good. It's a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Very good, the motion's carried. Next three, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Jones.
In number 13, a resolution approving engineering services agreement with Amet, Inc. in the amount of $19,500 for the Washington 218 systemic traffic safety improvements, and authorize mayor and city clerk to execute said document. Number 14, a resolution approving a request to temporarily prohibit parking within the 900 block of Cutler Street during the construction of Highway 63. And in 15, a resolution approving construction plans and sanitary sewer serving Sunnyside South Addition sanitary sewer extension as submitted by VJ Engineering of Cedar Falls, Iowa, and sewage treatment agreement, DNR Form 29, with the Department of Natural Resources, and the final acceptance of construction plans subject to the review and acceptance by the DNR.
Second.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Jones. So, roll call vote, I'm sorry, questions, council? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Very good, the motion's carried. Next three, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 16, I'd like to adopt a resolution approving a right-of-way license agreement with Waterloo Waterworks for the City of Hudson Water Main Project, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said document. Item 17 is adopting a resolution approving a recommendation of award of contract to Fleming's Landscaping and More of Raymond, Iowa, for the following amounts: $245 for option A, $245 for option B, $25 for option C, $35 for option D, $25 for option E, and approving the contract bonds and certificate of insurance for the 2013 lift stations and complaint mowings and complaint snow removals, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said documents. Item number 18 is adopting a resolution setting date of hearing as May 20th, 2013, to approve the creation of the Crossroads Waterloo Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan and Tax Increment Financing District, and instruct the city clerk to publish notice. Second.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Schmidt. It's a roll call, I'm sorry. Council, do you have any comments or questions? It's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Next three, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Welper.
number 19 is a resolution, set of the date of hearing is May 20th, 2013, to approve an amendment to the Rath Area Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan for SJ Construction to construct a new commercial building with a minimum assessment of $240,000 onto land purchased from the city, and instruct city clerk to publish notice. 20 is a resolution, set of the date of hearing on May 20th, 2013, to approve an amendment to the Martin Road Area Urban Development Plan for Avita Development, LLC, to construct a new commercial building with a minimum assessment of $750,000 onto land purchased from the city, and instruct city clerk to publish notice. 21 is a resolution set of the date of hearing is May 20th, 2013, to approve an amendment to the Logan Area Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan for N&S Property LLC to construct a new commercial building with a minimum assessment of $700,000 onto land purchased from the city and instruct city clerk to publish notice.
Second.
Very good, thank you, Councilman Welper. Council, do you have any questions or concerns regarding 19, 20, or 21? Any of those three? It's a roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good, the motion's carried. The next three, 22, 23, and 24, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Getty?
item 22 is a resolution setting date of hearing as of May 20th, 2013, to approve an amendment to the airport area urban development plan to modify the following: an existing development agreement with Trenier Manufacturing, Inc., reducing the minimum assessment from $1 million to $400,000, and add a new project by Coker Properties LLC to construct a new 10,400 square foot building with a minimum assessment of $352,000, and instruct the city clerk to publish a notice. Item 23 is a resolution setting the date of hearing is May 20th, 2013, to approve a development agreement with N&C Properties LLC for the city to acquire property from Hope Martin Anderson and convey property located at 401 and 409 Franklin Street to N&C Properties LLC, and instruct the city clerk to publish notice. And item 24 is a resolution electing classifications and procedures for proposed bond projects. I make a
Second.
motion that these items be approved.
Second.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Getty. It's N&S property rather than N&C, just for the record's sake. Council, do you have any questions? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, motion's carried. Let's do 25 by itself, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hart?
Move that we adopt resolutions to fix date of hearing as May 28, 2013 on the proposed issuance of the following bonds for the project classifications just approved. In A, not to exceed $14,750,000. B, it's $2 million, for essential corporate purposes. B, not to exceed $2,250,000 general obligation bonds for urban renewal purposes. C, not to exceed $650,000 general obligation bonds for general corporate purposes. D, not to exceed $550,000 general obligation bonds for general corporate purposes. E, not to exceed $600,000 general obligation bonds for general corporate purposes. And F, not to exceed $500,000 general obligation bonds for general corporate purposes. And details on these projects covered by each hearing are on file for review, and instruct the city clerk to publish notice.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Hart. Council, do you have any questions regarding this item? It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Very good, the motion is carried. The last three, please, 26,
Mr.
27,
Mayor.
28. Ms. Cole.
I move we adopt a resolution to set the date of hearing for amendment to the FY 2013 budget as May 28th, 2013, and instruct city clerk to publish notice. 27 is a resolution approving construction permit application with the Iowa DNR for wastewater disposal system construction in conjunction with LaPorte Road Pump Station and Force Main, contract number 847. 28 is a resolution approving construction permit application with the Iowa DNR for wastewater disposal system construction in conjunction with No Name Creek Interceptor Sewer, contract number 849.
Second.
Questions? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carried. Item 30, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 30, I'd like to make a motion to instruct the Waste Management Services Superintendent to prepare plans, specifications, form of contract, et cetera, and that's for the LaPorte Road Pump Station and Force Main, contract number 847.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Schmidt, I think you can do both of those. I'm reading as you were reading. It looks like they're both the same. Why don't we do 30 and 31 together?
Okay, and 31 would be the same motion for the same superintendent for the No Name Creek Interceptor Sewer, contract number 849.
Second again.
Very good. Motion and second. Council, do you have questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to receive and file plan specifications, form of contract for both 30 and 31.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I make a resolution preliminarily approving plans, specifications, form of contract, et cetera, for 30 and 31.
Second.
It's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And then I would make a resolution setting date of hearing and bid opening as June 10th, 2013, and instruct the city clerk to publish notice of plans, specifications, form of contract, et cetera, for both items 30 and 31.
Second.
It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Getty?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Very good. Motion carries. Thank you, council. Good job tonight. It's the end of our regularly scheduled business tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for oral presentations. So if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address mayor or council on items of any business, now would be the time to do so. Just step to the microphone, sir. Just give us your name and address, and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, if you would, please.
I can talk pretty fast.
I know.
My name is Mark Pregler. I'm at 5312 Hammond Avenue. I am unofficially in tonight's capacity with the Black Hawk Landlords Association, and I have her answer. We do not disagree with the Neighborhoods Association. I don't know, maybe opposition is a wrong word, but
it is.
I'd love to know what the differences are, because we agree with you. We agree with what Mr. Trelk has put together. We just disagree with some of the finer points, and to nail hers specifically is where Mr. Trelk said it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to call us on each call. We have in our lease agreements, those of us who have them from the landlords of Iowa, a clause in there called Rules and Regulations, and the very first paragraph is conduct. And I can't enforce my lease if I don't know it's broken. And if you tell me you've been there, I can enforce that by immediately serving that 7-day notice to the tenant, and step 1 is done of 3. If you tell me the 3rd time you've been there, I'm starting from scratch. And I'm limited by the Code of Iowa. I think it's the Tenant Land Law Act 752, by what I have to do, when I have to do it, and how to do it. But we want to work with you if you'll work with us. If it is a bad tenant and they need to go, we have to follow certain procedures ourselves. So we would love to work with you if you would work with me. And I got to throw you another curveball, is that several months back, the Reverend Abraham Funches from the Human Rights Commission visited our association with some of the issues that they have where there's a domestic dispute, and because there was some violence and or damage that the entire family is evicted. We're working with him on trying to find a solution where the perpetrator himself is charged with criminal mischief as well as the domestic problems, and he is removed, but not the family. That would also hinder our abilities to do that. So that's why we need more conversation in some of the details. We agree with you. We want to go where you're going. We do not fear where it's going. We have some serious and sincere concerns about how to get there. That's all we've got.
Dan, have you met with Mr. Pregler individually?
When he first came to town?
No. over this issue, have you guys met?
Not over this issue. That's why we love the idea that maybe we could hold a meeting of the minds, including the neighborhood association leaders. It's because we were already heading that direction. That's why you guys got the email I did that please don't rush this. We are trying to work together.
Very good. Thanks, Mark. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we receive and file oral comments and adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.